Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday, April 10th, 8:33, and today we're going to discuss my favorite daily trainers. This is the Hoka Mach 6 here, one of the best all-around shoes that I've been testing so far this year. It is also day 3 out of 3 of no running, and we've successfully accomplished the goal of 3 days rest after the marathon without going crazy. So today, final day of no running, talking you through my favorite everyday running shoes. And ooh, what's that? Oh, guys, I didn't even see this here. This was not planned. Decker's brands. That is Hoka. All right, hold on. I have a feeling I might know what this is. Oh man, I wasn't supposed to run today, but they sent it to me next day air. That is really nice of Hoka. Next day shipping. Overnight promos. Oh man, I can't let Hoka down. It's like that J. Cole song, Let Nas Down. I think if I don't run in these today, maybe, I don't know, man. All right, well, let's open them up, see what they are. All right, guys, let's see. Okay, blue Hoka box, that's what we were expecting. Is this gonna be what I think it is? Yeah, it is. Look at this thing. Hoka Skyward X. This is wow. My grandmother actually was texting me because she found out about the YouTube channel. Because, of course, you know how moms are. They tell everybody everything. And she was asking me for walking shoes. This looks like something that I would recommend to a grandmother for walking. Not my grandmother, because she's a beast. She actually walks 60 miles per week. And a lot of that is backwards walking. She's a savage. But this looks like a grandmother or grandfather walking shoe. Man. Yeah, guys, I think this has 49 millimeters of stack in the heel here, and it does not feel like a particularly lightweight shoe. And I think that's the reputation Hoka is starting to develop here, is that they used to be that they have just massive stacks of cushion, and then their reputation was the EVA foam. Now I think it's that they have massive stacks of cushion and a bit heavier shoes. And so the Hoka Cielo X1, I know that got a little bit, what's the word, chastised for being a heavy shoe, but I did not mind it. And especially as a lower cadence runner, I really enjoyed the Hoka Cielo X1. I did a 22-mile run with tons of marathon pace in that shoe, and it performed really well. So I don't mind when shoes are a little bit heavier, but just holding this thing, it's like if you're expecting to get a double cheeseburger from McDonald's and then you go to a real steakhouse and order a burger. Look at this thing. I feel like I'm trying to palm a basketball in my hand. It is wide. So this should be a very stable shoe. We also get lots of rubber coverage. This is one thing I'm noticing. And I had the Hoka Mach 5 and 6 out here because guess what? I was going to do the favorite daily trainer. So you get a sneak peek of 2 of them. But if you look at both the Cielo X1 and the Mach 6 have this where they added rubber to the Mach 6 because the Mach 5 over here did not have it. I still got 300 miles out of this shoe here, but in the Mach 6, Mach 6 here, no rubber right in the back for a low cadence heel striker like me. That's not great. Should I make the video how I ran a 2:49 marathon as a low cadence heel striker just to trigger them? But this thing right here, we do get the rubber coverage out in the back, and super important for a lot of us heel strikers, not just the back part, but around this lateral side. So the outside of the shoe, tons of rubber coverage. And that's nice because this is an expensive shoe, $220, similar to the On Cloud Monster Hyper. Now, just holding this in my hands, looking at the amount of foam we're getting here. And so you have 2 types of foam. Top layer is PIBA, bottom layer is supercritical EVA, so it kind of combines the Hoka Cielo X1 with the Mach 6, and then you have the carbon fiber plate. But holding this in my hands, it feels a lot more substantial than that Cloud Monster Hyper. Cloud Monster Hyper, I was actually considering bringing out for that favorite daily trainer list, and I might bring it out as in a little asterisk because I'm still testing it. I only have, 3 or 4 runs in it, so I'm not going to put it on the favorites yet. But this does not feel, look, taste. Should I taste it? No, it does not, to the senses, read to me like a daily trainer, and we'll see once I get out there. But this does not look like something I want to run in every day. It looks like one of those a souped up max cushion cruiser. I'm wondering how it would feel for some marathon pace miles. And today was supposed to be 3 out of 3 days no running. It's going to be 2 days no running, 1 day of soup. Does it even count as running if I run in the Skyward X? And I think that's the point of the shoe, right? It's supposed to make running super easy, similar to shoes like Prime X Strung, and yes, similar to shoes like that Cloud Monster Hyper, and similar to what the Hoka Cielo X1 did for racing shoes. This whole new trend of shoes, taking the burden completely off your legs, which is what Hoka popularized initially, right, with their Max Stack shoes, Clifton and Bondi, and now they're reclaiming that throne by going even taller, by adding more foam, by going even wider than what some of those other competitors are doing right now. So I love that Hoka is coming with some heat in 2024, trying to come back to center a little bit, because this is the spirit of Hoka right here. Protective, stable, ugly. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. No, but this is the spirit of Hoka right here, right? You get a lot of foam underfoot. It's protective, and it makes it easy to run. And the benefit of these shoes are, and this is what I said in that video about Max Cushion shoes, we can run more miles at the same pace in these shoes, or at the same effort with lower stress on the body. And guys, after that marathon, 2:49 PR, baby, 30-minute PR, I got people telling me, you got to bring the mileage down. You got to optimize the training, increase the percentage of the speed work. Yeah, you know what, guys? We're going to increase the percentage of the speed work. We're going to be hammering some 6-minute pace once we're recovered. But also, that 100 miles per week, that's going nowhere, baby. And so shoes like this is exactly the type of shoe I need to help get to that next stage of fitness. And for many of us out there, if we're not reaching to the highest levels of mileage and don't have that super strong aerobic base, which is why, even though I had a tough, gritty, grindy teen mileage spree right there in that marathon, I was still able to recover and drop a sub 6 mile on mile 26, because that aerobic base is strong from doing the 100-mile week. So shoe like this is going to be great for recovery mode, for rebuilding mileage, and I'm super excited to lace this one up for some nice and easy miles out here today. So before we do that, I want to bring maybe a shoe or two out here to compare it with, because we just have the Mach 5 and Mach 6, because I thought I was going to do the favorite daily trainers video. And then let's throw this on the scale to see what the damage really is. I think I might have to bring out the scales that they weigh the whales with. Man, it feels good to be back out here at the Mint Hill Shoe Market, just talking my talk. All right, Hoka Skyward X. This is going to be ugly, I already know, but let's put on the, I actually want to put on a different shoe first. So SC Trainer V2. This is probably my favorite shoe in this category of mileage building shoes that have a lot of technology packed in the midsole that make it easy to run. And so within the plated trainer category, there's a few different types of these shoes. You have Speed 4, Boston 12, these shoes that are really designed more for speed training. And I would even put them closer to maybe Rebel V4, those types of shoes. That Topo Cyclone would be closer to those types of shoes that are for speed training. And then you have this other category, Superblast, Cloud Monster Hyper, SC Trainer V2, where you can do some speed work, but they're really designed to take that burden off your legs, let you reach higher mileage levels, longer runs without getting penalized in your legs. So SC Trainer V2, considered heavy for the plated trainer category, but not so much for this protective category. This is $290. And then let's take a look at the Cloud Monster Hyper, $277. So Cloud Monster Hyper, this is using PIBA and EVA. And then SC Trainer V2, in the midsole, you get the carbon fiber plate. And what is it called? Supercritical TPU EVA blend. Also SC Trainer V3, I think low-key, one of the most highly anticipated shoes of the year. So let's see, Hoka Skyward X here. And I should say, actually, before I put it on, a little anticipation drum roll. This upper here does not look super lightweight. We got a decent amount of padding, and it's almost like a thick sweater material. Again, going for that coastal grandma vibe. So let's put it on here. Woo, baby. 335 grams. I don't think... Okay, I I think the heaviest shoe that I had before this was the Supernova Rise. So I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to have to pull out a few other shoes. Let's see. Gotta use the scale, have to use the wheels. All right, let's see. Yeah, we can weigh those. What am I looking for? Yeah, let's get this guy. And this is what we really need. Okay. So 335 grams is the heaviest I've seen on this scale for a running shoe. But I want to do a little test here. How heavy is heavy really? So some everyday running shoes or everyday regular shoes, common projects here. This is the shoe that I wore for my wedding, which is the only reason I have a shoe this expensive. But I should have known even back then I'd be doing something related to shoes when I bought this shoe for my wedding. But let's pop Mr. Common on the scale, or I guess Mr. Projects. Okay, so a regular shoe, and this is to contextualize it for everybody out there, a regular sneaker. So this would be similar to a Nike Killshot, an Adidas Stan Smith, a non-performance sneaker, 514 grams. And I actually think I have a Nike Killshot. Might see if I can pop that out here real quick. So this is the J. Crew edition, not the J. Cole edition. J. Crew edition of the Nike Killshot. 317 grams. That is interesting. So Killshot is lighter than the Skyward X. Common project, so this guy has some leather in it, a little bit of a heavier shoe. So 517 grams. Let's see something like the Jordan 1 high top. For some context here, 440 grams. And then let's look at probably one of the heaviest shoes in terms of regular non-performance footwear, a Timberland boot. 878 grams. And of course, you're not going to be running a 20-mile long run in Timberland boots. Although, maybe I'll start that series. Run 20 miles in the Timberland wheat boots, stomping through New York. But yeah, that's to contextualize it a little bit for you guys. 335 grams. Heavy for a running shoe. I mean, if we think about other sneakers, it's still going to feel a lot lighter weight on your foot than pretty much anything else you're used to wearing throughout the day. But let's compare it to some of its other competitors. Your favorite shoe, Asics Superblast, 264 grams. So huge difference between these two percentage-wise. Not going to calculate that in my head. Probably about, I don't know, between 20 and 30% maybe difference in weight. But the key differences here are midsole technology. So Asics is using the FF Turbo, which is a racing foam. And then on the bottom, they have their standard training foam, FF Blast Plus. There's no plate. In the Hoka here, we have a supercritical EVA and then a PIBA on the top. And so the supercritical EVA is going to be what's weighing this down a little bit, and also just how much foam we get in the shoe. You can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but looking at it, the Hoka looks a lot taller, and just proportions wise, it looks a little bit more whale-like. It almost looks like a toddler shoe mixed with a grandparent shoe. The Asics Superblast looks a little bit more like a normal everyday running shoe that just got a little bit of a growth spurt and is in its awkward phase. So heavy shoe for sure. 335. Let's check the other shoe. Now, before I do this, I want to show you guys the Cielo X1 because, so this was also heavy for a racer, as I mentioned, 258 on the right shoe and 270 on the left shoe. So there's a little bit of a mismatch there, 15 grams. And I'm hoping that that's not the case here. So 333 on the left shoe of the Skyward X and 335 and 336. So that is amazing. That is really close. Good job, Hoka, on the QA. I do have to say my Mach 6 also had some weird sizing issues, but it looks like they've resolved that with this guy, Skyward X, which I believe is, if we're thinking about QA, made in Vietnam. Yes, this is made in Vietnam, and it is a 10.5. All right, guys, so overall, a little bit on the heavier side, but tons of foam for protection underfoot. And the last thing I should mention is carbon fiber plate, right? You get this full carbon fiber plate in the midsole here. That's going to reinforce this rocker geometry, which again will help make it a little bit easier to run. So I am going to clean up this mess. This is what it looks like to be a true shoe dog. You know, you're just ripping out the Tims and throwing the common projects askew and askance out here. But I'm going to clean it up, and then we will lace up the Skyward X, baby, first run. I'm excited. I haven't been this amped to get a first run in so long. Sometimes shoes just hit at the perfect time, and this hit at absolutely the perfect time. Shout out to Zach. Pull up like I'm Moby Dick. Alright guys, I'm going to lace these up in a sec, but let's just make sure we have all the glamour shots we need. Because it is super wet out here, and it is going to destroy this white colorway. So let's look at that. Side stack. Look at that carbon plate right there. Nice and girthsome from the back. Inside, you got the red to blue gradient. Nothing special from the top. The return of the elf heel. Patriotic colorway. And then you just hit them with that green. Not really sure why. Then of course you got the carbon fiber plate poking in through the bottom. On the Mach 6 in the Hoka Skyward X1, there are circular holes in the rubber. Here we have triangular holes. And the only reason I know that is because Mason, my 5-year-old daughter, saw the Mach 6 and she said, "Dad, you have another shoe that looks like this," and went and searched all the other 40 shoes and pulled out the Cielo X1 and showed me the outsole because she remembered that it had circular holes. So they went with the triangular holes here. Thickness of the rubber, let's get that thickness of the rubber shot. Decent. I don't know how durability is gonna be on this guy. Let's get this chunky whale on. So plan for the run this morning is 20-mile recovery run. So it'll probably take between 2 hours and 2.5. No, I'm just kidding. Plan for the run is a 30-minute recovery run. 30 to 40 minutes. We'll see how it feels. Just start moving the legs. Now, the guidance, the conventional wisdom says you should take probably 3 to 5 days off from running after the marathon, at least, especially if it's a first marathon. That's what a lot of the books recommend. Fitzinger, Higdon, Hansen, and then some elites actually take up to 2 weeks off if it's a big, hard goal race, which makes a lot of sense. So I committed to 3 days off from running, and I failed. This was day 3, and I relapsed, and we're going to be running today. So 2 days off, though, that is, I never take 2 days off back to back. The last time, I'm trying to think, the last time I took 2 days off back to back, it might have been when I was injured in 2022, maybe once in 2023. I know I took some time off when we were traveling to the mountains for my birthday in 2023, but yeah, 2 days off that's enough time for me, okay? That's definitely enough time. And then let's talk about the shoe actually for a sec. So I banged up my right toe in the Mach 6, and then the Sky Paris exacerbated it a little bit. Sorry, not my right toe, I don't know what this toe is called, the index finger toe on my left foot. But I have enough room in the toe box here, this 10.5, it fits perfectly. So I can, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I'll go 10.5. And oh, look at this. Oh, that was weird. So look at that. The insole on the inside was curved over. So I'm going to have to manually fix that. That's super weird. But it is a manually or removable insole here. Looks like a decently soft material. And then you get some baseball looking thing. Can you see that? The baseball looking thing sewn on the inside here. And then people ask me if the tongue is... Someone told me they didn't like the gusset word. I don't really love that word either. But the tongue, it's interesting. There's no gusset on the tongue. But there's a gusset here on the upper itself, which I'm not really sure what that's doing. Maybe it's adding a little bit more support inside the upper. I've never seen that. That's kind of a cool, different thing. Let's see if we can put this insole back. Also, another brand trademark of Hoka is the kind of funky colorways, and they're coming with the heat. So you gotta know what your strengths are and what they're not. And this shoe for Hoka, this is the most Hoka shoe of all time. Funky colorway, big stack, expensive, and they're just rocking it. I love it. They're not trying to be something that they're not. They know what they are. Know yourself, know your worth, in the words of Drake, right? That might be what we have to call this shoe on Strava. Know yourself. That's the nickname for the Hoka Skyward X. All right, guys. And yeah, the tongue, just going back to the weight for a little bit here, the tongue is padded. They didn't try to do anything to fake this being a lightweight shoe. It's not a lightweight shoe, but as I said with the Cielo X1, in my general philosophy on weight in general, and I know we didn't bring the Supernova Rise out here, but weight means you're getting more comfort, more cushion, and come on, I'll bring this up here. Yeah, generally weight means you're getting more comfort from additional cushion, you're getting more protection from that additional cushion, or you're getting more durability from the rubber. And so, yeah, or also more comfort from the upper. And so generally there's going to be trade-offs. A lighter weight shoe typically isn't as comfortable or isn't as protective. Maybe it's a little bit better for speed training, but again, it's going to depend on your goals. And my goals for the past 18 months since 2022 Charlotte up to Sunday was not getting injured, increasing mileage. I wasn't hammering a ton of speed workouts. I wanted to run a lot of volume to build my aerobic base. And that's exactly what I did. And so a shoe like this is perfect for that. Goals are going to be shifting a little bit for the next 6 months, probably still keeping that volume, but working in more speed, which is going to be fun. But shoes like this are going to be perfect for any of those days where it's not about speed and it's a little bit more about just getting the mileage in. So with that 30 to 40 minute recovery run, first run back, baby. Let's get into it right after I do a little walk test. Sorry for the tease. Okay, so it is a tall, high shoe. Reminds me a lot of the feeling of walking on the Cielo X1 with how aggressive the rocker is, but way more stable in the heel here. And so one thing I didn't show with the Cielo X1 is that it cuts out the heel foam so you don't have anything to land on. That is not what I'm getting here. It feels good to stand on it. It feels good to walk around. I think it's going to be pretty good for heel striking as well. But of course, absolutely no ground feel in this shoe, but I do get a nice little bit of room up here in the toes here. So with all these Hoka shoes, man, make sure to order through my Running Warehouse link because they have 90-day returns. So if the sizing doesn't work for you, you can switch for a different size. All right, guys, Skyward X first run. Let's get it.
Mach on the track.
All right, hold on. I had to turn back for a second real quick because even just doing this, 30-meter jog here down the driveway, this is exactly what I was expecting on step in from the ASICS Superblast, which is super bouncy, no ground feel whatsoever. And as soon as my foot hits the ground, I feel that comfort and cushion, but I feel that immediate pop back. And so I'm getting a really fun, bouncy ride right out of the box. And this is how I felt immediately with the Cielo X1 as I did my little warm-up. And then that feeling stayed with the entirety of the shoe. So $220, I don't know, but it is in that Superblast territory. And this is what I was expecting the Superblast to be out of the box. I don't think this is going to be a shoe that requires break-in, but all right, let's see. All right, guys, first run post-marathon down, baby. Let's see what we got. We were moving pretty good out there. 4.16 miles, 29 minutes, 42 seconds, 7:08 pace. And man, I know it's funny to say this because I ran a marathon 2-3 days ago, but my legs feel so fresh right now because if you look at my Strava, you'll see I pulled the mileage way down the first 2 weeks or the 2 weeks leading up to the marathon, and then I haven't run the last 2 days, which I never do. So of course my, what is this muscle called? Quads are still sore and I don't feel 100% recovered, but in general, my legs just feel super fresh. Like I was just popping along right there, which is again, the benefit of these carbon fiber plated shoes. I raced in the Sky Paris and it wasn't my favorite shoe, but I still got 98% of the benefit of what any other racing shoe would have given me, which is that speed assistance, that bounce, and also fresher legs from the carbon fiber plate and that Piba foam. Now, look at this. It's a sad day. We got some mud damage up front. First thing, I want to say a few things before I forget. Saucony Convara Pro is the shoe that kept coming to mind as I was even first, second mile, and I was thinking, okay, carbon fiber plate, little EVA foam on the bottom. This one is super critical EVA. with the Piba on the top. But from everything I've heard about the execution of the Kinvara Pro, it didn't quite land how Saucony had planned. And I think that might be because, one, they used a firmer EVA, the Power Run, versus here you're using a softer foam. And because they didn't go full, I don't know what word I should use for this. They didn't go fully irresponsible with the foam, if you know what I'm saying. Hoka went fully irresponsible with the height of the stack here. And somebody asked me a few months ago, what do you think the maximum stack height is going to be for shoes? And I don't know. This didn't feel like too much stack with the carbon fiber plate. So we might be able to get 50 plus in a shoe soon. It is a very wide shoe though. But the reason I kept thinking about the Kinvara Pro is not just because of the execution there, and I was thinking about the competitors of the shoe and who are the competitors for the Skyward X. Kinvara Pro a little bit, Prime X Strung, Cloud Eclipse, maybe. Let me know what you guys think the main competitors are for the shoe. But I was also thinking about it because that shoe doesn't have an outsole, and the grip on this was a little bit lame. Look at this. Ice skating, and a lot worse than what I remembered from the Mach 6, which I would have assumed to be the same rubber. So before we get into the full breakdown of the ride, I'm going to go grab that Mach 6, and we're going to do a little bit of a rubber grip test. Alright, so I got the Hoka Mach 6 here, and unfortunately, both of these things are pure white. But you can see I also ran with this one in the rain and cleaned it off, so I'm hoping we can clean up this guy too. But yeah, what I was saying earlier about the lightweight and not wanting to, Hoka not really caring about it, just take a look at the difference in tongues on this. With the Mach 6, they were engineering this shoe to be super light. And so if you look at the tongue, it is thin, like 2 millimeters thick, versus the tongue of the Skyward X here, it is super padded. So Hoka didn't go for lightweight in the shoe. They went for ultimate comfort. And that's certainly what we got out there on that ride. But let's lace up this Mach 6 really quickly here and do a little, you guys know what's coming. Yeah, wow. On foot, so Mach 6, not a low stack shoe. It's 37 millimeters, but compared to just putting it on right after the Skyward X, it feels so much lower and firmer. It's not a firm shoe either, but it just feels so much lower and firmer. And actually, guys, I'm noticing the Hoka logo on the Mach 6, this yellow-green, is the same color as the rubber on the Skyward X. So this is just one of their launch theme colorways for the year. America plus this neon yellow-green. Somebody from France is so triggered right now that I keep calling this the America colorway. Red, white, and blue is the French color. It is not just the American color. Parlez-vous français? Hey, pull up like I'm King Louis VIII. Alright guys, so one jog. Everybody knows the rules. Left foot here, and I've been teaching Mason, left is L. Left foot here is Skyward X. Right foot here, it's not an R, is Mach 6. Then we're going to do a little grip test. Alright guys, so I just wanted to do that to do a little quick comparison to reset my shoe feel expectations, because the last shoe I ran in before the race was Rebel, and then I ran the race in the Sky Paris. So Mach 6, so much lower, so much more normal. But let's take a look at this. Grip of this guy. I guess they're the same, but maybe just because the Mach 6 is lower, it feels grippier. Let's take a look at this. Now, let me know what you guys think. Are they the same or are they different? Mach 6 grip. Now Skyward X. Skyward X. Mach 6. Okay, so after doing that little comparison test, I think they're probably the same grip and not the best grip in the world. It didn't feel like on the Skyward X, and maybe having that additional amount of stack just makes it feel a little bit less controlled, because I remember when I was running at the Superblast 4, comparing it to the Mach 6, doing it back to back, the Mach 6 felt a lot grippier, and it certainly is. But with these having the same amount of foam, I think, again, that's going to be one of the trade-offs. In general, Skyward X is going to feel a little bit less nimble, and that's going to come through in control of the platform and the grip and how much you feel you can navigate the forefoot with your feet versus letting the shoe do the work of running. And again, Mach 6, not a low stack shoe, but comparing it to the Skyward X here, there's what, a 10 plus millimeter difference between these shoes. That's as much as the Topo Cyclone in a shoe like the Saucony Triumph. So really big difference between these two. All right, I'm gonna try to do a little salvage job on the cleaning of this, and then let's get that full breakdown in. I just noticed I am fully Hoka today with the Mach 6, the slides, and the Skyward X. But let me know, the one thing I wanted to say before I clean these off and go out, let me know what shoes you want to see me compare the Skyward X to. And I don't have the Prime X Strung, so let me know if that's a shoe that I should bring onto the channel. Also, Convara Pro, should I bring that one onto the channel? And any others that I haven't run in, let me know if I should bring them onto the channel. All right, guys, quick cleanup operation, and then we'll be back out here. I'm not gonna be that guy and clean it in the kitchen. So this shoe, and let's see what we can do. Oh, it's coming off super easily. But this shoe demonstrates, and that's a 3-syllable word, this shoe shows why I thought the Superblast could have benefited, and why I still think the Superblast could have benefited from a plate. Because going into the Superblast, I thought it was going to be super bouncy, nice and soft. And people kept telling me it's going to soften up, which, did it really? I don't know. But you can't get a super tall stack shoe and have it be soft and bouncy without a plate. And so if you like a little bit of a firmer, more structured ride, then Superblast is perfect. But for me, I felt like I was fighting against the foam because they have to tune the foam to be firmer, or they just used the firmer foam because that generation of FF Turbo has a firmer foam. But it wasn't what I was expecting, coming from the knowledge that it had such a tall stack. Thought it might have been a little bit softer. So this shoe shows what you can do when you just go full irresponsible mode with the stack height. All right, guys, let's get into this wrap up. All right, guys, so 4-mile cruise in the Hoka Skyward X is in the books. Now, as I was just saying up there, I haven't run in every shoe that would be considered a competitor to this. We have SC Trainer V2, which I've run in, and Hoka Cielo X1, which is not a competitor to this, but does take the spirit of this and amps it up, puts it in a race day shoe. But I have run in a lot of shoes on the market, and I think we've probably crossed 50 shoes that I've run in at this point. So when I run in something that gives me a completely new experience that I've never run in before, it is a pretty cool feeling. It's like listening to a song for the first time. The first time where I heard, I think the last song that did this to me was the Kendrick and Future song, Like That. The first time I heard that song with the beat coming in and the flows, it's sick. It's a nice feeling when you just get into the song. I think some of the J. Cole songs off the new album did that too. Crocodile Tears, that's an absolute banger. But this shoe as well is a banger, and at that plus $200 price point, it better be delivering something not only new, but something that is the absolute best at what it's looking to do. And so that's my whole frame for reviewing shoes on the channel. And with me talking about the Drake quote earlier, right? Know yourself, know your worth. There's tons of shoes on the market, me personally running 50 of them, but hundreds of shoes on the market. And so for a shoe to stand out and to be worth a purchase from any consumer, any runner, not me, not you, but someone out there, and there's hundreds of preferences and hundreds of different styles of shoes that could work for people. But with that, there needs to be one key quality in every shoe that I get excited about and recommend that stands out. And so a shoe like the, just realized I was talking with the mic backwards. Now it's forwards, the audio will be better. But a shoe like the New Balance 880 was the last shoe that just really disappointed me because it didn't deliver anything that was better, any one thing that was better than any other shoe out there. And it's not like that's a $90, $100 shoe that undercuts the market by a ton and is delivering more value. And as you guys know, Asics Superblast is another shoe that disappointed me a little bit because there wasn't any one thing that stuck out to me that made that shoe better than any other shoe. And some of you guys said It's great because of its versatility, and it's great because it can eat mileage. But even for me, a shoe like the New Balance 1080 V13 is a better, more effective mileage eater than that shoe. And if I want something with a little pep in the step, I would just go for a different shoe. And so with the Superblast, even if you don't want to buy a ton of shoes, but maintaining a 2-shoe rotation for the same price of $200, if you get good deals, you could get Boston 12 and a Max cushion shoe for around that price. And so this shoe is delivering something new, something unique, and something really fun. It felt like nothing I've ever felt before because it has this moon boot experience to it. As soon as I put it on and walked around up there, I was planning to just go start running, but I had to turn the camera back on and tell you guys how stacked it felt just walking around. And so this is the ultimate in comfort and protection underfoot, but it's breaking the paradigm a little bit, and I love breaking the paradigm here on this channel. And the reason it's doing that, the Hoka Skyward X1 did the same thing, is you're not supposed to have a shoe this heavy that rides this nice. And so starting off this run, I'm in recovery mode. I ran a marathon 2 days ago. I was planning on just clipping off 8:30 miles. I would jog at 10-minute miles if I needed to. And the last time I ran a hard effort this long, it was a 2 hours and 43 minute trail race. I set the FKT at my friend Jim Rhodes' house back here. He does something called the Holiday 100 every year. And my neighborhood is extremely hilly, so it's 3,000 feet of elevation gain, 100 loops around his house. And the next day after that, I was completely smoked. I went to the YMCA because I was gonna go run on the treadmill, and it was closed because it was Sunday. It's like Chick-fil-A. And so instead of doing the treadmill, I had to do loops around the YMCA parking lot in the pouring rain in my Cloud Monsters, which were well past their prime. And my legs were completely smoked. I think I was running 9-minute miles, and the next day I did a 10-mile or 12-mile recovery run, and I was also running 9 or 10-minute miles. So I was fully expecting, or partially expecting, open to the possibility of recovery mode this time being similar to that, but it wasn't. And I came out of the gates in the shoe around 7:30 pace, I think, but feeling like the effort on my body was 30 seconds per mile slower. And so this is a shoe that's going to give you some speed assistance, which is why the Cielo X1, again, broke the paradigm, and it broke a lot of people's brains. And I think people are still sleeping on that shoe because it is a heavier weight, but you get speed assistance. And so weight isn't everything. The data isn't everything. We need to contextualize it. And it's hard out there to do that without running in the shoes, which is why I try to give you as full, as detailed, as comprehensive breakdowns of my experience so that you can make an informed purchase decision. But this shoe, like the Cielo X1, with that weight penalty, did not slow me down at all. It was one of the bounciest shoes that I've ever run in, and reminded me a lot actually of the SC Trainer V2. And so if you take a look at the shoe, difference from the SC Trainer V2 is that we get a lot more stack up here, okay? 50 millimeters of stack in the heel. I'll get the full specs and throw them up in the beginning, but you get a ton of stack. It's the most stacked shoe, similar to SC Trainer V1, and that's a shoe that I sent back because I know for a lot of people, you did feel like it was breaking that paradigm and offering some bounce and speed assistance, making it easier to run despite the heavy weight. But for me, that shoe felt a little bit like running in quicksand, a little bit similar to the Superblast actually, where I wanted to pick up the pace. It felt like I was running through mud, that feeling of biting into a meringue cookie where it's just dense but light at the same time, hollow but not necessarily heavy, but it feels heavy even though it's lighter. And that's what the SC Trainer V1 gave me. It just did not work for me. But this shoe is everything that a lot of other people loved about the SC Trainer V1, but even dialed up a little bit more. You get a little bit more stack, you get the full carbon fiber plate, and when I picked up the pace, and I didn't go super fast today, but 6:40, which was a little bit slower than my marathon pace from Sunday. So into that steady range, I felt a lot of that PIBA up there in the forefoot and a lot of that bounce. And so for this next cycle of training, what I'm gonna do, back to basics, back to the book of Lydiard, we are gonna be working on aerobic max training. And so that is steady training, and what Lydiard prescribes is run 160 km per week, so 100 miles per week. This is what he did for his athletes. This is what took Peter Schnell to the Olympics at your aerobic maximum. So a lot of us think of zone 2 miles. This is top end of zone 2. Heart rate is roughly, and it's going to be different from everyone, but heart rate for me probably around that 160 range. I don't train by heart rate, and if you want to do marathon pace, it's about 10 to 30 seconds slower than marathon pace. So the fastest aerobic pace you can sustain without getting into that anaerobic territory where you're gonna have to slow down because you're breathing too hard and you can't turn over your legs. So I'm excited to use this shoe and other shoes like this. And again, let me know what other shoes like this I should bring into the lab. But I'm excited to use these shoes because it made holding that aerobic max, that steady pace, feel a lot easier with lower impact on the legs. And so that's what I'm all about on this channel right now. What are the technologies on the running shoe market that can really improve our running? And that's one of the reasons I was a little bit cynical about the Sky versus the Edge comparison and which shoe is best for us. I don't think either of those shoes is gonna make a material difference for most runners out there. I don't think either of those shoes are the optimal race shoes for most runners out there. And the difference in technology between those two shoes is so minimal that it's tedious to think about trying to split hairs on these. However, if we're thinking about a shoe like this and the technology that it's bringing, something that we haven't quite seen before, yes, Prime X Strung, but I didn't run in that shoe, and now I know I'm gonna have to run in that shoe. It's gonna be like a Superblast thing if I don't run in it soon. But this is the type of technology that can change the way we train and can get us more gains by increasing the mileage and increasing the intensity at which we can train, but also keeping the recovery time the same or lower. And so that's what I'm all about. How can I train a little bit harder in this next cycle, run those everyday miles faster, a little bit faster? I'm not gonna be hammering miles at 6 flat every day, but run those everyday miles a little bit faster with reduced recovery. And that's where I think Skyward X is really gonna come into play here. So not just a recovery cruiser. This thing did have a little bit of pep to it, and I'm thinking this is gonna be an awesome tool for the next few weeks as we're rebuilding mileage and working up to the next stage of fitness. So that's the ride experience. Close it out with a few more of the technical details and questions I know you guys are gonna have. And the reason I have it on the back here is to talk about stability. Stability was great. There is no wobbling around. It is a super wide platform. Just look at this thing, man. So stability was great. As I mentioned, the grip wasn't fantastic, but I did run in a pretty wet day over here and it was okay. On the inside, there is no midfoot arch poking up into your foot. So a lot of you guys will be excited about that. And you do have the removable insole. Upper, again, it's probably 65 degrees. I didn't feel too hot in it, so I think it's gonna be decently breathable. We'll have to do some more tests on it. And cornering was solid. I didn't do my normal 8-mile loop. We just did 4 miles today. So next run I'll do in the shoe, I'll make sure we get some more miles. Even if I don't do 8, I'll go around the cul-de-sac. That's the cul-de-sac test. That's how we test the cornering capabilities. But today, because the stability felt pretty good, I don't anticipate we'll have too many issues. I do have to say, in the heel area, I felt like I could have cranked down the laces maybe a little bit tighter to get a better fit around the heel, but I did enjoy the fit of this in a 10.5. So I would go true to size if you're gonna pick the shoe up through my Running Warehouse link. And then last thing I should say, on the continuum of foams, this is a softer shoe. So not as soft as SC Trainer V2, but not a firm shoe. So thinking about Cloud Monster Hyper, I mentioned that was a little bit of a firmer feel underfoot, even though it has the PIBA. This is a nice, soft, smooth, and cushioned feel underfoot. Again, similar to the SC Trainer V1, but just a little bit better all around for me than that shoe. So those are my thoughts on the Hoka Skyward X. We are back, baby, getting some more miles in. Let me know what else you want to see on the channel in terms of shoes. As always, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Welcome back to another episode of One More Thing. There's just a few things I wanted to highlight because I looked at the tech sheet that they emailed me, and so the midsole setup, wanted to clarify, it is a frame of the supercritical EVA. So similar to the Saucony Tempest almost, where you get the cradle frame of the supercritical EVA, and then the PIBA sits inside. And the other thing I want to mention is this does come in bigger sizes, so up to 14 for men. I know that was one of the issues with the Superblast, I believe, didn't come in the bigger sizes. So for all my big-footed friends out there, I think my guy Corey Adcock was saying the Superblast didn't come in his size, so this should be a really good option for bigger runners. And then there's one more thing. Oh yeah, one last thing I wanted to tell you guys about. So our friend, Andrew, his name is Andrew Pazza. You guys know him as Midlife Runner. He recently launched a community, a subscription, which I'll be buying as soon as we end this video. You can join for $2.99. He's calling it OnlyFans of shoes, $2.99 per month, or for $6 per month. This is the one I'm gonna get for a bunch of cool stuff, early access to videos. He is the only running shoe YouTuber that I watch. I don't watch anybody else. He's also the guy, he found me when I had 600, 700 subs and has just been encouraging me the whole time, super supportive. So he's a good dude, and he brings just awesome insights and humor to the running community. And if you're watching, I don't know how long this video is, but if you're here at minute 37 or 32 or 45, however long this video is, I know you like running shoes. So go to Andrew's channel if you don't know him, and $3 a month, guys, and you're going to get a bunch of cool stuff. He's the best at what he does. I absolutely love his channel. So, all right, that's all we have today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.